Sometimes the person who smiles the brightest at family gatherings is the one sharpening a knife behind the curtain. Before I begin, let me know in comment where you are watching from, like and subscribe. The moment the glass left my hand and splashed across Ashley's perfectly powdered face, the backyard went so silent you could have heard a seed hit the grass. It had been my grandson Oliver's 8th birthday. Balloons bobbing, kids screaming with delight, adults chatting over barbecue until my daughter-in-law leaned in and whispered that little insult she thought I wouldn't dare react to. "You're a snooze fest." Margaret, honestly, your husband probably died just to get away from you. I'm 66, not deaf, and I'm certainly not timid, so yes, my iced tea found its target. Ashley froze. Her mascara trails streaking down her cheeks like melting ink. Parents paused mid-conversation. Kids stalled mid-game. Even the dog quit barking. My son Daniel rushed to her with dramatic panic, the way he always did when she snapped her fingers. "Mom, what is wrong with you?" He barked, dabbing Ashley's dress with a napkin as if she'd been shot. "Apologize. Right now, or you leave." I smoothed the front of my floral blouse and inhaled. "Language, Daniel. There are children here." Ashley pointed a trembling finger at me. "She assaulted me. She's lost it. She needs help." That was the thing about being older. People assumed you were fragile or confused or simply too soft-brained to notice the things happening around you. Ashley loved banking on that assumption. She'd been doing it for 3 years. What she didn't know was that used to run financial audits for a major regional firm for over 3 decades. I can smell a lie before someone even starts speaking, but I didn't come here to make a scene. I came prepared. Actually, I said loudly enough that the parents nearest the pizza table stopped pretending not to listen. "I think it's time we cleared the air. Ashley seems to believe I'm some senile old lady with no idea what goes on in my own family." Daniel grabbed my arm again. "Mom, stop. Apologize or leave." What he couldn't understand was that his sweet wife had just handed me the moment I'd been waiting for. Because I hadn't spent the past 6 months knitting scarves or doting on birds. I'd been observing her, studying her, tracking the patterns behind the suspiciously convenient coincidences that always seemed to follow Ashley wherever she went. I looked at my son, the boy I raised alone after his father's sudden passing, and for the first time, I saw how completely she'd wrapped him around her manicured finger. "You want the truth, Daniel?" I asked softly. "Or would you prefer I lie to keep the peace?" Ashley's eyes widened. "What truth?" "Margaret, don't you dare." I pulled my phone from my purse. "Should I start with the inquiry you made about my inheritance last month? Or should I begin with the reason you really married my son?" Gasps fluttered through the backyard like startled birds. Even the children paused, sensing the tension adults always try to pretend isn't there. "Grandma." Oliver tugged the hem of my sleeve, confused. "Why is Mom crying?" I bent down and kissed the top of his head. "Nothing for you to worry about, sweetheart. Go show your friends the new treehouse." He scampered away, and I finally straightened my spine, feeling more clear-headed than I had in years, you see. I told the adults who now openly watched our little family showdown. I've learned a few things these past months. Things Ashley didn't want anyone to know. Ashley swallowed hard. Daniel looked between us, sure for the first time, and I thought, good. It's time someone else started paying attention. Asterisk. The backyard emptied faster than I expected. Parents ushered their children toward cars, offering sympathetic smiles that were really just excuses to get away from the brewing tornado. Within minutes, only our family and a few stragglers remained. People who pretended they were helping clean up, but were obviously staying to witness the drama. Asterisk Ashley disappeared into the house, slamming the bathroom door so hard the wreath shook. My son stalked circles around the kitchen like an angry storm cloud while I settled myself on the back porch swing, the cushions still warm from the afternoon sun. Asterisk Mom, Daniel said as he paced. You can't just accuse her of things without proof. Asterisk. I sipped a fresh glass of iced tea, one I'd poured myself. thank you very much, and nodded toward the yard. Sit down, Daniel. Let's talk. Asterisk, I don't want to sit, he muttered, but he did anyway, sinking beside me with that tight jaw he'd had since he was a boy who lost his father too soon. Asterisk, sweetheart, I said calmly, you keep calling them accusations. I haven't accused anyone of anything yet. Asterisk. He rubbed his temples. You told everyone Ashley married me for money. Asterisk, no, I corrected. I asked whether I should start with the inheritance investigation she requested about me, or the reason she targeted you. Big difference. Asterisk, he looked stunned. What investigation? Asterisk, I pulled up the email that had started this entire mess, the one confirming a request made to access certain details about my assets. The request had been flagged because the firm knew I would never authorize it. Asterisk, I handed him the screen. Asterisk, he stared at it for a long moment. The kind of long moment that told me something inside him was cracking. Not enough to break yet, but enough to question what he thought he knew. Asterisk, Mom, this could be a mistake. Someone could be using her name. Asterisk, oh? Someone used her name, I said dryly, because she's used other names in the past. Asterisk, he blinked. What? Asterisk. But before I answered him, the bathroom door opened upstairs. We could hear Ashley's voice floating down, hushed, frantic, unmistakably scared. Someone had given her a reason to panic. Okay, Mike. And it wasn't the iced tea on her dress. Asterisk, she spoke low. But not low enough. Asterisk, I don't care what you have to do, she hissed into the phone. I need that information today. Asterisk, Daniel shot up. Who is she talking to? Asterisk, someone she shouldn't be, I replied. But finish listening. Asterisk, we stood there, frozen, until her voice dropped back to a whisper. Then the bathroom door slammed again. Daniel looked shaken. What is going on, Mom? Asterisk, I touched his hand gently. Let me ask you something. When Ashley first met you, what did she say she did for a living? Asterisk, marketing, he said slowly. She'd just moved back to town after caring for an elderly aunt in Florida. Asterisk, I nodded. Hung. And have you ever seen a single photo of this aunt? A funeral program? A grave? Anyone from that side of her family? Asterisk, he swallowed hard. She didn't like talking about it. Asterisk, of course she didn't, because she doesn't exist. Asterisk, his breath hitched. That can't be right. Asterisk, I pulled up another document, one the investigator had provided. It was a simple public record showing no death of an aunt matching the name Ashley had given. Not anywhere in Florida. Not in any state, asterisk. Daniel read it twice. Then again, asterisk, she must have given the wrong name. Desperation tinged his voice. People misspeak, Mom. Asterisk. People do. I agreed. But people also fabricate entire lives when the truth won't suit their purpose. Asterisk, he sank back down onto the swing. Why would she lie about something like that? Asterisk, I leaned forward. Because her entire introduction to you was engineered. Asterisk, he looked at me like I had spoken another language. Mom, that sounds crazy. Asterisk, does it? I asked quietly. Ashley knew things she shouldn't have known from day one. Your schedules, our finances, my late husband's policies, information she never should have had access to unless she was searching for it. Silence, the kind that fills a room with the weight of realization. Asterisk then, from the doorway behind us. Ashley's voice cracked the air. Asterisk, Daniel, she said, her tone dangerously thin. We need to talk. Asterisk, I turned, smiled politely, and replied, asterisk, oh yes, dear, we certainly do. Ashley stood framed in the doorway like someone caught between fight and flight. She'd washed her face and changed her dress, but nothing could hide the brittle tension radiating from her. Her usual sugary charm was gone. What replaced it was something colder, sharper, calculating. Asterisk, Daniel. She repeated, ignoring me completely. We need privacy. Asterisk, I don't think so, I replied before he could answer. Whatever you have to say, You can say it to both of us. Asterisk, her jaw tightened. This isn't your conversation, Margaret. Asterisk, that's the problem, dear. It very much is. Asterisk, Daniel looked between us, conflicted and exhausted. Ashley, whatever Mom thinks she knows, asterisk, Ashley stepped forward. Your mother is confused. She's grieving. She's been under a lot of stress. Asterisk, I laughed softly. If I'm confused, Ashley, then why did you impersonate me with my attorney last month? Asterisk, for a split second, a sliver thin as a razor, her mask slipped. Fear flickered behind her eyes. Then she swallowed it and forced a trembling laugh. Asterisk, that's absurd. I would never. Asterisk, Frank didn't think so. I cut in. He said the woman who called used your name and insisted she needed access to my estate planning documents. Asterisk, Daniel stiffened. Estate planning? Why would you? Asterisk? Ashley talked over him, voice climbing. I was trying to help. You said your mom never organizes anything. I thought maybe. Asterisk, sweetheart. I said gently. I never told you a thing about my will. Not once. Asterisk, silence ballooned in the room. Even the fridge hum sounded too loud. Asterisk, Ashley looked at Daniel. Eyes glistening, performing wounded innocence the way actors slip into their roles. She's twisting everything. She hates me. She has from day one. Asterisk, Daniel raked a hand through his hair. Mom, just explain why. Asterisk, no. Ashley snapped. She explains nothing. She attacks me at a birthday party, humiliates me, and now she's accusing me of what? Being some kind of villain. Asterisk, I leaned back in my chair. Villain. No, not yet. But a woman who fabricates background stories, who inserts herself into families with significant assets, who researches their finances before coincidentally meeting the son. That's not normal, Ashley. That's strategy. Asterisk, Ashley's breathing grew shallow, fast. The panic she tried to hide crackled at the edges of her voice. Daniel, she's lying. Asterisk, but Daniel didn't respond. He was staring at the table, processing piece by piece, like a puzzle finally showing its image. Asterisk, I took a slow breath. It was time. Asterisk, Daniel. I said 3 months ago, I walked in on Ashley rummaging through your filing cabinet. Asterisk, Ashley's head snapped around. I told you I was looking for tax documents. Asterisk, you were looking through the insurance files, I corrected. The ones you shouldn't even know exist. Asterisk, Daniel blinked. Wait, you went through my office? Asterisk, Ashley rounded on him. I did it for you. I wanted to help get the paperwork ready. Asterisk, that drawer was locked. He murmured. I always lock it. Her silence was damning. I pressed on. That's when I started watching more carefully. Every week she made little comments about your father's life insurance payout, the savings account your father and I built, the trust for Oliver's college, all things neither of us had ever discussed with her. She could have heard, Daniel began weakly. No, I interrupted. She knew the amounts, Daniel. The exact amounts. Lee flinched. Now she was cornered and she felt it. Asterisk, Daniel stood abruptly, pushing the swing into motion. Ashley, how do you know those numbers? She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. That's none of your mother's business. Asterisk, then make it mine, he shot back. Tell me. Asterisk, I could almost hear her thoughts grappling with strategy. She chose silence, the wrong choice. Asterisk, finally, she said tightly, I think we should leave. Asterisk, you're not going anywhere, I said, rising to my feet. Not until we talk about the private investigator. Asterisk, Ashley's head jolted up. What investigator? Asterisk, the one I hired. I explained. The one who discovered your real maiden name isn't the one you gave us. The one who found 2 previous marriages you forgot to mention. The one who learned you've changed your identity more than once. Daniel's face drained of color. Ashley blinked, stunned not because she denied it, but because she hadn't expected me to uncover it. You have no proof, she whispered. Oh, I do, I said. And your pattern is a little too familiar. You marry into wealth. Someone older in the family dies under convenient circumstances. Assets shift. And you leave with a comfortable settlement. Asterisk, Daniel staggered back. Ashley, is any of that true? Ashley's eyes darted toward the back door, calculating escape. And in that moment, I knew she was exactly what I feared. Asterisk, a woman who had come to finish what she'd started. Ashley's eyes flickered toward the back exit, like she was measuring the distance between herself and freedom. She wasn't subtle about it either. Her heels shifted. Her weight angled as if her body was begging her to run before her brain caught up. Asterisk, but even if she sprinted across the yard, I had already locked every gate before the party began. Maybe I'd anticipated needing privacy. Maybe I'd anticipated confrontation. Or maybe, after 6 months watching this woman weave her web tighter around my son, I'd simply learned to think 2 steps ahead. Asterisk, Daniel, still stunned, shook his head like he was trying to clear water from his ears. Ashley? 2 previous marriages? 2. Why didn't you tell me that? Asterisk, Ashley's expression hardened into something cold enough to chill the entire house. Because it wasn't relevant. Asterisk, not relevant. Daniel's voice cracked. You told me I was your first real relationship. Asterisk, she straightened her spine. I told you I didn't want to relive the past. Asterisk, no. I said gently. You didn't want him to ask questions about the past. Asterisk, Ashley whipped toward me. Stay out of this. Asterisk, I can't. I replied simply. You made me part of it the moment you tried to get into my accounts. Asterisk, her nostrils flared. This is all because you never liked me. Asterisk, oof. I snorted. If I disliked every woman who wore too much perfume and pretended to enjoy my meatloaf, I'd have a much longer enemies list. No, sweetheart. I started investigating you because of your inconsistencies. You lie about tiny things, and tiny lies usually guard bigger ones. Asterisk, Ashley's fists clenched so tightly her knuckles paled. Daniel saw it too. Asterisk, Mom. He whispered, what else did you find? Asterisk, I hesitated. Not because I doubted him, but because I knew the next piece would fracture his world like glass. Asterisk, the investigator found a pattern, said quietly. In both of Ashley's previous marriages, the older parent, the mother, in one case, the father in the other died unexpectedly within a year of the wedding. Daniel stared at me as if I'd spoken in a language he'd never heard. A pattern, he echoed. Asterisk, yes, I confirmed. And after each death, substantial assets moved. Not to the son, to Ashley. Asterisk, Ashley cut in sharply. Coincidence? Elderly people die. That's not a crime. Asterisk, I raised an eyebrow. No, it's not. But impersonating family to financial institutions? That is, trying to get my will. That is, and the investigator found something else. Something I wasn't sure I believed until today. Ashley's shoulders tensed. I held her gaze. You researched Daniel for months before you accidentally spilled your coffee on him at that cafe. Asterisk. Daniel blinked rapidly. What? Asterisk, it wasn't an accident, I said softly. She knew your schedule, your usual cafe, your route to work. She planned that meeting. Daniel staggered backward like she'd slapped him. Ashley? Tell me that's not true. Asterisk, she opened her mouth, but not a single sound left her throat. She didn't need to speak. The silence told the truth for her. Asterisk, Daniel dropped into a chair, breathing unevenly. My God, I thought we met by chance. Asterisk, Ashley took a step toward him, hands raised as if pleading. Daniel, listen to me. I fell in love with you. Whatever happened before, asterisk, I cut her off. Whatever happened before is exactly the problem. Because your story isn't new. It's recycled. And men with elderly parents are your specialty. Her eyes snapped toward me with such intensity, I almost stepped back. Daniel finally choked out. Is that what this was? Did you plan everything? Our meeting, our marriage? Oliver, asterisk, Ashley swallowed. No, not Oliver. Asterisk, the answer was too quick. But it wasn't the part that worried me. What worried me was the faint tremor in her hands. Asterisk, she was cornered now. Asterisk and cornered people. Make dangerous decisions. Asterisk, I saw it the moment her breathing changed. Shallow, rapid, too controlled. Her gaze darted around the kitchen, not looking for an escape now, but looking for an opportunity. Asterisk, and then, slowly, she forced calm back into her voice. Asterisk you to think you've uncovered something, she murmured. But you're wrong. So, very wrong. Asterisk Daniel looked up, confused and scared. Ashley, what are you talking about? Asterisk, she smoothed her dress, straightened her shoulders, and looked at both of us with an expression I'll never forget. A kind of quiet, resigned certainty. Asterisk, Margaret, she said. You think you've been watching me? A chilling smile curved her lips. But I've been watching you too. Asterisk when Ashley said she'd been watching me too. Something in Daniel's posture snapped into vigilance. He straightened, shoulders tight, eyes narrowing the way his father's once did whenever he sensed danger lurking beneath someone's smile. Asterisk, what does that even mean? He asked, his voice hoarse. Asterisk Ashley drifted closer to the counter, her fingers lightly brushing the edge as if she were reacquainting herself with the space. You two act like you're the only ones capable of noticing patterns, she said. But I've lived in this family for 3 years. You forget that. I didn't. I never forgot anything, she continued, her voice smooth as polished silver. I know your habits, Margaret. Your routines. I know when you go to that little bakery on Tuesdays. I know when you take your evening walks. I know exactly how long your front door takes to latch unless you push it twice. Asterisk Daniel's eyes widened. Ashley, why would you keep track of that? Asterisk she turned to him with a soft, pitying smile. Because it matters, darling. When you care for someone, you pay attention. Asterisk, no, I corrected. You pay attention when you're calculating. Asterisk Ashley's gaze flickered to me, not angry now, but coolly appraising, as if she were adjusting the angle of a mask. Asterisk, you think I don't know? You've been digging? She asked. That you've been making quiet little changes. Moving accounts. Meeting with attorneys at odd hours. Asterisk Daniel whipped his head toward me. Mom. Asterisk Ashley laughed softly. She wasn't as subtle as she thought. A new bank account in a completely different district. A new lawyer whose office is 40 minutes away. That's the behavior of someone scared. Someone preparing. Asterisk her knowledge stunned me for only a moment. Then everything clicked into place. Of course she noticed. Someone like Ashley monitored shifts the way a predator tracks wounded prey. Asterisk Daniel breathed out a shaky. This is insane. Asterisk Ashley tilted her head. Is it, or is it smart? Because Margaret didn't just start protecting herself. She started doing it right after I caught her watching me. Asterisk. I blinked. Watching you? Asterisk, she nodded calmly. In your own way, yes? The morning you pretended to come by early to help with breakfast, but were really checking my routine. You thought I didn't see you in the hallway mirror when you peeked into the study? Asterisk Daniel's head snapped toward me. Mom. Asterisk I held up a hand. I wasn't spying. I was trying to understand what she was doing in your office. Asterisk Ashley rested both palms on the counter, leaning in slightly. I was organizing. I told you that. But you don't listen, Margaret. You investigate. Her lips curled. Which is funny because you were the one being investigated. Asterisk, I exchanged a quick glance with Daniel. What did you just say? Asterisk, her voice dipped lower. You're not the only one who knows how to hire someone quiet. I wanted to verify your finances. Your accounts. The will you swear you never talked about. The policy your husband left behind, everything, and guess what? She shrugged. You're wealthier than you pretend. Asterisk. Daniel stiffened. Why would you need to know that? Asterisk Ashley turned to him with practiced tenderness. Because I was planning our future. Love? You and Oliver deserve stability. Asterisk, I stepped forward. No. You wanted to calculate the reward. You were positioning yourself. Asterisk. The sharpness in her gaze flashed again. That predatory glint I'd only glimpsed twice before asterisk, "You think I wanted any of this?" She asked. "You think I chose this family because of its money? Margaret, you're adorable when you pretend you understand me. You don't." Asterisk, "Then help me," I replied. "Explain it." She took a long, deep breath like she was gathering courage or releasing restraint. "Fine," she said. "You want the truth? I'll give you the truth." Daniel braced himself. Ashley loosened her fingers, letting her nails tap gently against the counter surface. It sounded almost rhythmic, deliberate. "Asterisk, when I met Daniel," she began, "it wasn't because of his job or his smile or even his generosity." She paused. "It was because he had you." Daniel looked as if she'd punched him. "Me?" I repeated. "Why me?" Asterisk, Ashley exhaled slowly, the confession rolling out like steam from a cracked pipe. "Because you're the key. You're the reason I chose this family." Asterisk, Daniel's breath stuttered. Ashley, she smiled, not sweetly, not apologetically, but with chilling clarity. "Margaret, you were my target." Asterisk, and in that horrifying instant, everything made sense, every compliment, every favor, asterisk, every attempt to guide my health. My habits, my choices. She'd never been circling Daniel. She'd been circling me. For a moment after Ashley said I had been her target, the world seemed to narrow into a single ringing silence. Daniel stared at her like he was seeing a total stranger. Maybe he was. Maybe we both were. Asterisk, Ashley, he whispered. "What do you mean she was your target?" Asterisk, Ashley didn't hesitate. That was the terrifying part. She wasn't scrambling to cover her tracks anymore. She was calm, coldly honest, as if confessing was simply the next logical step in whatever twisted plan she had constructed. "Asterisk, I mean," she said evenly. "Your mother is exactly the kind of person I specialize in." Asterisk, a chill slid down my spine. "Specialize." Asterisk, she nodded. "You're disciplined, predictable, responsible. And most importantly, you have resources. You've built a life that someone like me can walk into and improve." Asterisk, improve. I echoed, incredulous. Asterisk, yes, Ashley said, as though it were obvious. People your age spend years struggling with declining health, mounting paperwork, burdens that fall onto their children. I eliminate those burdens. I streamline everything. I free families from long-term suffering. Asterisk, Daniel swallowed, horrified. "By killing people." Asterisk, Ashley blinked at him, almost offended. "Daniel, killing is such an ugly word. I facilitate transitions." Asterisk, "Oh my God," he whispered. Asterisk, I leaned my elbows on the counter, steadying myself. "So that's what you were doing?" "Facilitating." Asterisk, Ashley gave a small shrug. "Your circumstances fit the pattern very well. You're a widow. You live alone. And whether you realize it or not, you've been slowing down. Not physically, perhaps, but emotionally. You've been tired since your husband passed. You're too proud to admit it." Asterisk, the implication made my stomach twist. "You think grief makes someone expendable?" Asterisk, I think grief makes people vulnerable, she said. And vulnerable people need guidance. Asterisk, Daniel nearly collapsed into a chair. Ashley, your plan was to hurt my mother. 2, to end her life. Asterisk, she tilted her head. No, I never wanted to rush anything. I prefer nature to take its course. I simply encourage it along when the time feels right. Asterisk, encourage, I repeated. That's what you call it when you mix things into someone's supplements. When you push dangerous doctors on them. When you make suggestions that affect their health. Asterisk, her lips curved. Yes, exactly. You understand more quickly than most. Asterisk, Daniel shot up, trembling with fury. Ashley, you're insane. You're absolutely asterisk. She cut him off with a soft, almost pitying laugh. Not insane, strategic, and don't act surprised, Daniel. You've always known I've planned things meticulously. That's what you loved about me. Asterisk, no, he said hoarsely. What I loved was a lie. Asterisk. Ashley didn't even blink. Then let me give you a truth. Asterisk, she stepped back from the counter, her voice steady as ever. Asterisk, your mother was supposed to require medical supervision by now. The supplements should have slowed her heart rate. The dizziness should have made her restrict her routines. The doctor would have documented the decline. Asterisk, I felt my pulse thundering in my ears. You mean the doctor whose office you tried to steer me toward? Asterisk, Ashley nodded. He was reliable. He knows how to write things in ways that aren't questioned. Asterisk, Daniel grabbed the back of a chair to steady himself. So you were planning to kill her and make it look natural. Asterisk, Ashley sighed. Daniel, everybody dies eventually. I don't shorten lives, I optimize exits. Asterisk, I stared at her, stunned by the sincerity in her voice. It wasn't an act. Not anymore. She believed her own madness. She'd constructed a moral framework around murder and convinced herself she was doing mercy work. Asterisk, if you think that justifies what you've done, I said quietly, you're more dangerous than I realized. Asterisk, Ashley didn't look offended. She looked disappointed. I was hoping you would be reasonable, she said to me. Out of all the families I've worked with, you've been the most perceptive. Asterisk, I scoffed. You think this is a partnership? Asterisk, no, she replied. I think it could have been peaceful. Asterisk, her gaze flicked to the window for half a second, so quick and subtle I almost missed it. But I didn't. Daniel didn't either. What's outside? He demanded. Ashley smiled faintly. That depends, she whispered, on how fast you think. She turned lightly on her heel and walked toward the sliding back door. Not rushed, not frantic. Just ready for whatever came next. Ashley's hand touched the sliding door handle with the kind of deliberate calm that terrified me more than if she'd sprinted. People who move with purpose don't improvise. They follow a plan. And she had been planning something long before today. Asterisk, Daniel grabbed her wrist. Where are you going? Asterisk, Ashley didn't struggle. She simply turned her head and looked at him with chilling composure. Daniel, let go. I'm not running. Asterisk. That's exactly what someone running would say. Asterisk, she sighed as though he were being unreasonable. If I wanted to escape, I would have done it before we started this conversation. Asterisk, the worst part. That was probably true. She was calculating every move, every breath. Asterisk, I stepped closer. Ashley, what's outside? Asterisk, her lips raised slightly. Insurance. Asterisk, Daniel shook her wrist harder. What does that mean? Asterisk, she finally tugged her arm free, her expression flattening. It means, she said quietly, that I am not foolish enough to come into a confrontation unprepared. Asterisk, my stomach tightened. Ashley, tell us what's waiting outside. Asterisk, she turned to me, and for the first time I saw something frighteningly close to honesty in her eyes. Back up, she said. In case things went badly. Asterisk, Daniel barked a disbelieving laugh. Back up. What, you hired someone? Asterisk, Ashley shrugged. I hired help. Just as you hired help to investigate me. That stopped him cold. I whispered, what kind of help? Asterisk, Ashley didn't answer directly. Instead, she looked at the darkened window again, and then back at us. I told them to wait unless I signaled. Asterisk, my chest tightened. And what's the signal? Ashley smiled faintly. Me walking out the door. Asterisk, Daniel positioned himself between her and the exit. You're not leaving. Asterisk, Ashley looked at him with something close to pity. Sweetheart, you can't protect her forever. You couldn't protect your father, and you won't be able to protect her. Asterisk, the moment she mentioned my late husband, something inside me snapped. You don't get to talk about him, I said sharply. Asterisk, oh, but I do, she replied. His death gave me valuable information about your family. It told me how you respond to loss, how you handle paperwork, how you cope, how you decline. I didn't decline. I spat. Ashley's gaze drifted over me, assessing. Not as quickly as expected, no. Asterisk Daniel looked like he was going to be sick. Mom, she has someone outside. What do we do? Asterisk Ashley raised a finger as though she were about to give a lecture. Relax, both of you. They'll only act if I leave the house without you. Asterisk, I stared at her. That makes no sense. Asterisk, it makes perfect sense, she said. If I walk out of here furious and alone, they'll assume something went wrong. That you attacked me, that I'm in danger. But if I walk out calmly, they'll stay put. Asterisk Daniel ran a hand over his face. This is unbelievable. Asterisk Ashley turned toward him. Daniel, she said softly, I never wanted it to get messy. But your mother forced this. She had to poke and pry and threaten. And when people threaten my work, things get complicated. Asterisk, your work. I snapped. You kill vulnerable people. Asterisk, she rolled her eyes. Margaret, please. I shepherd people out of suffering. You're a predator, I said. Ashley didn't deny it. Asterisk, she walked around the kitchen island slowly, as though deciding whether to sit or strike. You know, she mused, I originally thought you would be easy. You fit the profile. You had every emotional marker. You were lonely, distracted, soft around the edges. Asterisk Daniel growled. Stop talking to her like she's a client. Asterisk Ashley looked at him with faint amusement. Everything is a client if you understand the business model. Asterisk, Daniel moved in front of me. Ashley, this ends tonight. I'm calling the police. Asterisk, she didn't react with panic. Instead, she dipped a hand into her purse, and for a heart-stopping moment, I feared she had a weapon. But what she pulled out was far worse, a simple, unlabeled vial the size of her thumb. Asterisk, it caught the kitchen light like a drop of liquid ice. Daniel's voice cracked. What is that? Ashley twirled it between her fingers. Options. I stepped back instinctively. Ashley, put that down. Oh, I will, she said lightly, but only after we decide how this ends. Daniel lunged for the vial, but Ashley moved faster than either of us expected. She jerked backward, letting his momentum swing him forward. And in the same motion, she edged closer to the sliding door. Her hand hovered near the lock. Daniel, she said softly, don't make me give them the signal. My son froze. The room thickened with an awful stillness, the kind that precedes disaster. Ashley took one final step toward the door, positioning her body in a way that could mean either surrender or escape. And then she whispered, choose. Asterisk for a few agonizing seconds. None of us moved. Ashley stood by the sliding door with the vial glinting between her fingers, poised like a conductor waiting to cue a violent symphony. Daniel hovered between her and the exit, torn between fury and fear. I kept my eyes fixed on the vial, knowing it held far more danger than anything outside. Asterisk Ashley spoke first. No one needs to get hurt, she said, voice warm and steady, the kind of voice she used when she wanted someone to trust her. We can make this simple. Asterisk Daniel barked a bitter laugh. Simple. You've lied, manipulated, and tried to, his voice cracked. Tried to destroy us. Asterisk Ashley's expression softened, just slightly. I didn't want you involved, Daniel. It was supposed to be peaceful, seamless. A transition your mother would never feel. That's murder, he snapped. She tilted her head. You say murder. I say mercy. Asterisk, I stepped forward slowly. Ashley, if you walk out that door, your backup won't save you. The police will be here in minutes. Asterisk. She didn't flinch. She smiled. I've handled police before, Margaret. Asterisk the difference, I said quietly, is that this time someone's alive to talk. Ashley's smile faded. Daniel took a breath and tried another tactic. Ashley, think about Oliver. He's sleeping upstairs. Whatever you do now, whatever happens, it affects him for the rest of his life. Asterisk for a fraction of a second, the icy resolve in her face wavered. Oliver isn't part of this. Asterisk, but he will be, Daniel insisted. If you run, if you fight, if something happens to Mom or me, Oliver will carry that forever. Asterisk. Ashley blinked rapidly once, twice, as though Daniel's words struck a place she hadn't armored fully. Asterisk, I stepped closer, my voice low, steady. Ashley, put down the vial. Walk away from the door. You can still cooperate. You can still explain. The truth is your best chance right now. Asterisk, her lips parted slightly, torn between instinct and thought. Asterisk, then something outside shifted, a shadow crossing near the fence, or maybe just the wind nudging a branch. But Ashley stiffened instantly. Asterisk, she whispered. They're checking on me. Asterisk. Daniel's throat tightened. Ashley, please. Asterisk. Her hand hovered at the lock. I didn't want to hurt you, she said softly. Either of you. You already have, I said. The word seemed to land like a stone in her stomach. Her shoulders sagged. Her fingers loosened around the vial. And for a moment, a terrifying moment, I believed she might surrender, but the moment ended. Ashley's eyes sharpened. Asterisk. No one is taking me alive, she breathed. Asterisk, she twisted toward the door, but Daniel lunged, slamming it shut before she could tug it open. The house erupted into chaos. The vial slipped from her grasp, and Ashley gasped. Reaching desperately as if she could catch it mid-dash air, Daniel reacted faster. He kicked it. Asterisk, the glass vial skittered across the tile toward the refrigerator, and Ashley shrieked, lunging after it. Daniel grabbed her shoulders, pulling her back. And she fought like someone possessed, nails raking, teeth bared, legs thrashing. It was the first time I saw her veneer break completely. Asterisk, I rushed to grab the vial before it rolled under the refrigerator. My heart hammered as I snatched it up, holding it as far from my body as I could. Ashley froze, her gaze locked on the vial in my hand. Asterisk, give it to me, she whispered. Her voice was no longer steady. It trembled with something raw and feral. Asterisk, no, I said. Asterisk, her demeanor changed instantly. Panic, real panic flooded her expression. You don't understand. If they think I failed Asterisk, that's not my problem, I said. Asterisk, she lunged again. But Daniel restrained her, wrapping his arms around her from behind. She screamed, a sound so sharp it cut the air, and then a pounding on the front door. Asterisk, police, open up. Asterisk, Ashley went still, completely still. Asterisk, Daniel dragged her away from the door as I hurried to let the officers in. Within seconds, 2 uniformed men and a plainclothes detective swept into the living room. Asterisk, Ashley didn't resist anymore. She simply stared at the vial in my shaking hand. Asterisk, the detective approached her. Ashley Winters also, known as Ashley Porter, Ashley Chen, and Ashley Henderson, you're under arrest. Asterisk, they read her rights while she stood eerily calm again, like someone retreating into a world inside her head where she was still in control. Asterisk, as they let her out in handcuffs. She paused on the porch, turned, looked straight at me. Asterisk, and said, very softly, you should have let things happen naturally. It would have been easier. Asterisk, then she smiled, the last smile I ever saw from her, before turning away as the officers guided her toward the waiting vehicles outside. Asterisk, Daniel leaned heavily against the wall, shaking with relief and horror. Asterisk, I set the vial carefully onto the kitchen counter and finally allowed myself to exhale. It's over, he whispered. I wasn't sure it was. Not entirely, but I placed a hand on his cheek and nodded anyway. Asterisk, it's over for us, I said. And that's what matters. Asterisk later, after Oliver slept safely in his bed and the police took our statements, Daniel sat beside me on the couch, eyes red. Asterisk, Mom, he said. Thank you. Asterisk. I squeezed his hand. Families protect each other, I said softly, even when the danger comes disguised as love. We never saw Ashley again, but sometimes when the house is quiet, I still hear her final words echo in the back of my mind, not as a threat, As a reminder, evil rarely arrives with a knife. More often, it comes with a smile.